What's up, and welcome into Fantasy Baseball today on Wednesday, March 18th. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White and Chris Towers. Today on the show, ADP risers and fallers. Are we in or out? We have some injury updates to discuss, but first, the WBC is over, and Venezuela are your world champions. They win 3-2 over the USA, and it was a tense game, mostly late. It was kind of boring for most of it, I guess. Obviously, because I wanted USA to win and they weren't hitting the ball, so it's kind of boring for most of the game. But yeah, job well done to Venezuela. Congrats to all their fans.
Is that what they're called, world champions? Because I feel like that title's already been claimed by another competition.
I think they're world champions for the next 7 months,
right? And
why
so
not?
World Series winner.
Yeah,
World Baseball Classic champions.
World
Classic
champions,
champions.
That's fine. What happened in the game? Willie Abreu, he's that dude.
Yeah.
2 big home runs here. One against Japan, one against USA as well. And I feel like we haven't really talked about him too much this offseason, but maybe there's more on the horizon here. He performed well last season in only 115 games. So if he plays more, we've talked about this with Jarren Duran, that there aren't really any righty outfielders on the bench there. Abreu and Duran are just full-time players. We probably should just get a career season out of Willie Abreu, right?
Yeah, I mean, he hit a couple home runs. I saw there was, I think Jeff Passan got into a Twitter spat with someone about this, but Willie Abreu really struggled against high fastballs last season, and apparently that's been his focus. The big home run he hit off of Japan was off a high fastball. I think this one was not. It was a low pitch, but he's aware of what he needs to work on, and that's what we always want to see with a younger player. And I'm open to Willie Abreu having the best season of his career. I will also point out on Jarren Duran's case, I don't know if you guys noticed, but of the 6 home runs Jarren Duran has hit, and Frank, I think you've noticed this.
Oh, yeah.
It's your favorite thing in the world. Among the 6 home runs he's hit this spring, including the World Baseball Classic and spring training, 4 of them have been off lefties for Jarren Duran, including
one against Chris Sale.
And 2 off Matthew Boyd. Those are pretty good lefties. Yeah. So I'm working on a little 5 winners from the World Baseball Classic. I may rewrite it because Danny Palencia, boy, he looked really good closing out games for Venezuela. The control was still a little iffy at times, but boy, the stuff there, if he can just throw a decent amount of strikes, he's really good. And obviously, look, we
you
saw
could just
that
add
last
him as a
year,
6th player. You don't have to rewrite.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
It changes everything.
Well, it's already 3,300 words. I don't want to.
Wait. You wrote a little article with 5 players. No. And it was 3,300 words.
It's also including my Tout Wars recap for tomorrow's newsletter.
Such an overachiever, Chris. I just wanted to say on Willie Abreu that I'd have an easy. I'd be able to get more excited about him if he played just about anywhere else, because his main strength is elevating to his pull side, and that was true even in the minors when he wasn't considered much of a prospect. But he was great at elevating to his pull side. He's at the worst possible venue for a left-handed hitter who does that. He actually did hit more home runs at home than on the road last year, but his batting average at home was 227 because a lot of those fly balls were wasted. And so I think that puts a pretty hard cap on him. Plus, I doubt he's going to be a true everyday player. He might play more against left-handers than last year. I know there are some who are really excited about Willie Abreu's prospects for this year. I think he's going to remain in the 4th outfielder range. Maybe he can be a borderline number 3.
Yeah, I think I
mostly agree with that, yeah.
We got a clutch homer from Bryce Harper in the 8th inning of that game. Then Gino Suarez go-ahead RBI double in the top of the 9th. Those guys are great. Don't need me to tell you anything about them. What?
I mean,
Bryce Harper was pretty bad before.
He was pretty bad before this one. It was 6 games before this, but if you wanted to shove it in Dave Dombrowski's face after getting offended that he said you were no longer elite, it would have been nice to have more than 1 good plate appearance across the course of the tournament for Bryce Harper.
What a strange thing for Dombrowski to say. I know he said it, and I don't think we've ever addressed it, but
it was one of those things where it's you're not wrong.
Well, why do
Probably
that?
shouldn't say it though.
Why do that with Bryce Harper though?
Yeah.
Are you sure? You don't consider Harper elite anymore? I don't feel like his skill set has diminished that
He's
much.
dropped from like a 900 to more like an 850 OPS.
Yeah.
It's still very good. I wouldn't call that elite, though.
He's like the last 3 years, he's been like a 3 to 4.5 win player, which is
He
still
was
good.
844 OPS last
Yeah.
year. He didn't have his best year, but it was 844 OPS. The year before 898. The year before 900.
Yeah.
Like,
I think he's very good.
He's only getting older, Scott. He doesn't go back.
But it wouldn't be at all shocking to me if he came back with a 900 OPS this year. He's basically a year removed from doing that.
It's in his range of outcomes.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's totally fair. Eduardo Rodriguez was great in this start. He threw 4 1/3 shutout innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, 9 whiffs on 57 pitches. Threw his cutter a lot more, and it was really good in this start. Changeup was also great. Probably doesn't matter. Do you guys have any thoughts on Eduardo Rodriguez?
I mean, he was really good in 2023, and since he got to the Diamondbacks, he's been a 5+ ERA pitcher each of the last 2 seasons. So
it's probably
expectations are very, very low. But look, streamers emerge all the time. He has had multiple stretches in his career where he has gone from looking pretty bad to looking pretty good overnight, seemingly. So it wouldn't surprise me if Eduardo Rodriguez was useful, but I don't think like among the players who have pitched in the World Baseball Classic, I think Luis Severino is definitely more interesting than he was before the tournament.
I feel like he's the only starting pitcher who really changed my opinion of him in any way.
Nola a little bit. His velocity's back up to where it was. Last year was like the 3rd lowest average velocity of his career. This so far in the World Baseball Classic and spring, he's been around 93, which is closer to where he was a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's
not
noteworthy.
I'm not saying Aaron Nola's an ace again, but I'm open to getting a good outcome from him.
And it's an even Nola, baby. Even year Nola.
Yeah. I mean, well, when he was throwing that hard, he was at least a borderline ace.
Yeah.
So I might need to be a little more open to drafting him. I've basically been just writing Nola off completely.
Yeah. No, I drafted him. Did I end up with him in my Tout Wars? I ended up with him in one of the leagues that we're playing out. Maybe the head-to-head points. I still think he'll, at the very least, should be a useful head-to-head points player.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have Aaron Nola a little bit later on as one of the late-round risers recently in ADP. Erod has to be rostered in NL-only leagues. Anything shallower than that, he's 15-team scout team, play the matchups, see what happens there. And then Palencia, you mentioned this, Chris. I mean, he looked amazing in the World Baseball Classic. He had 3 saves, pumping 100 miles per hour, has 3 different pitches. I recently moved him up to RP12. This has nothing to do with the WBC. It was more so just the Cubs showing confidence in him, and I like what we saw from him last year. I wanted him to be at the top of that tier that includes Emilio Pagan and Kenley Jansen and Jeff Hoffman. To me, Daniel Palencia deserves to be at the top of that tier, but it's a tier for a reason. So if you guys disagree, that's fine.
I still prefer Hoffman. I think there's more of a track record there, but I think Palencia had been underrated for most of the offseason. Maybe it's changing now. He actually we just did a head-to-head points mock while the game was happening, which I'm sure, to the great ire of Chris, I'm sure.
Well, it was more the technical difficulties that we ran into.
There was,
like, my wife was trying to talk to me, and I'm like, I'm sorry, we are figuring something. This draft went all wrong. We got to figure something out. I had the same
experience. My wife was trying to talk to me, and I was like, I'm sorry, I got to figure out this big problem. But it's fine. It took about 15 minutes longer than usual. I said, anyway, in this mock draft, even before Palencia entered the game, Palencia went ahead of Devin Williams. So he does appear to be a player on the rise. Not that I would advise anybody to take him ahead of Devin Williams.
All right. Again, congrats to Venezuela for taking down the WBC, the championship there, up against USA. I do have a bunch of news items here. Let's take our first break. When we come back, we'll get into the news. Then we'll do ADP risers and fallers. We'll do all that right after this.
This is why we do this every March.
Major slam! It is a basketball party. It's March. Expect the unexpected.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball. Today, let's quickly run through the news and notes. We have some injury updates here. Seiya Suzuki was diagnosed with a sprained PCL in his right knee, and the Cubs said they'll make a decision on his opening day availability this weekend. He is one of the fallers for later. NFBC ADP from the first 9 days of March to the last week has gone from 86 to 102. Is that enough of a drop for Seiya Suzuki, or should he fall a little bit further than
I think so. Craig Counsell described this diagnosis as good news. And it's not clear that Suzuki will begin the year on the IL. I think he probably will, just out of abundance of caution. It's a long season. Why rush him back?
You've got a couple extra players anyway, you know?
But this isn't the short sort of injury that should sideline Suzuki for weeks and weeks. And so I don't think he deserves to slide that much. 16 places sounds perfectly reasonable to me.
Yeah, that injury was on Saturday, right?
Yes.
The median time that players have missed when going on the IL with a knee strain.
Strain. Didn't they call it a strain?
I think they corrected that it was a sprain.
Okay.
I saw sprained PCL.
Yeah. The average,
that would make more sense, but I saw strain.
Yeah, that's not. I think it's just muscles or strains.
Right. Ligaments are sprain.
Yeah. And then tendons are a third thing. I don't know.
I think
anyway, the average is 29 days, so that would be like April 10th, April 12th, something like that. So a little more than the minimum. That seems reasonable. Like, why push it? You miss 8 games or whatever. I think that would make sense. So a fall is reasonable, but I don't think it needs to be dramatic. I moved him down. Frank, you said 102? Or no, that's the ADP.
Yeah, I moved him from outfielder 16 myself to like 20 right around.
Yeah, I moved him to 104 yesterday when I updated my rankings. So right there.
It's pretty low among outfielders.
Yeah, 104,000. No, Scott.
Down there with Zach Veen, huh?
No.
I don't know if you heard,
104 overall.
Zach Veen put on 40 pounds this offseason. Did you hear?
Shoot. It's a big deal.
Yeah, sure.
I did as well, actually.
Yes. No, you didn't. Come on. Garrett Cole will make his first spring start Wednesday against the Red Sox and will pitch 1 inning. It's his first game action since undergoing Tommy John surgery with the internal brace in March of last year. His timeline all along has been May or June. But if he's already making a spring start and he's only going to throw an inning here, he probably needs like a full spring training. So I know they've said May or June. It kind of feels like he could be back by like late April, early May.
I think I would think it's going to be more like May. And the thing you have to keep in mind is whenever he begins his rehab assignment, which doesn't have to be right at the start of the season, but whenever he does, that basically means he'll be back in 30 days. You know, if pitchers coming back from Tommy John surgery, you can extend it when they're coming back from Tommy John surgery. I think you have to get like a special dispensation from the players union, but I can't imagine those have ever been turned down for a player coming back from Tommy John surgery. So I think May, like when I look at Wheeler, Rodon, and Cole, you know, in ADP, there are massive gaps between them. You know, Wheeler's probably going 150 picks ahead of Garrett Cole in ADP if I had to guess. And I don't think that should be the case, personally. I think Wheeler, if you want to have Wheeler ahead of Rodon and Garrett Cole, I think that's perfectly reasonable. But in my rankings now, I think I have Rodon and Wheeler separated by about 10 spots in the overall rankings. So only a couple spots at starting pitcher. And then I think Rodon's another like 30 or 40 picks, but it's closer than the ADP. We've gotten, and part of that is just Cole hit 98 in a bullpen session. We got confirmation of that. And Rodon, his first live batting practice, I think last weekend, he was averaging like 93, 94. He hit 95. So he averaged 94 with his fastball last year. So that seems like a pretty good sign. So I think Wheeler, we've talked a lot about that, but I think Wheeler is probably being overdrafted, but I think Rodon and Cole especially are being really underdrafted. It's right at 130 spots between Cole and Wheeler. I think those need to be a lot closer.
The ADP over the past week at the NFBC, Wheeler is at 120, Carlos Rodon is at 206, and Garrett Cole is down at 249.
And that's NFBC,
no IL spots.
No IL spots. Rodon or Cole's timeline is a little hazier, so I get why he's going so much further. But like, I have more confidence that Garrett Cole will look like Garrett Cole than I have that Zach Wheeler will look like Zach Wheeler, right?
I mean, at least we've heard about velocity for Garrett Cole.
I mean, but even without that, Tommy John surgery versus thoracic outlet, right? Like,
but it's also the internal brace, which doesn't have a huge track record either.
Yeah, but I think his was both. I think his was the hybrid procedure. I think those. My understanding, at least, is those have had a better track record. And it's when you have just the internal brace, which was Lucas Giolito, Spencer Strider, Jared Jones is coming back from that. That's when it looks a little bit more iffy.
Yeah. Carlos Rodon, we just mentioned his name. He will not make a start in the Grapefruit League this spring, but he has been throwing simulated games, and he remains on track to return at some point in April. Shohei Ohtani will make his first pitching start of the spring here on Wednesday. That Garrett Cole start, by the way, will be televised, so if people want to watch that and tune in to see what he looks like. Chase Burns, Rhett Lauder, and Brandon Williamson have all made the Reds opening day roster. They also are not going with a six-man rotation.
How many pitchers is that in their rotation?
Makes sense.
6. They have 6.
Yeah, that's 6 for a not six-man rotation. My guess is, and I think Francona had some comments to this extent, it's going to be a piggyback situation. They're not going to say what it is, but my guess would be Lauder just gets used more or less like a normal pitcher, and Burns and Brandon Williamson are piggybacked off each other. Probably Burns starting, which is actually probably worse for his value actually in the short term, because if you're not going 5 innings, you'd rather be the guy pitching second because you have a chance to win.
Yeah, but I'd still rather have him be the starter just so that he could stay in that role.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that's what they're looking at. But these are both guys that they're going to have to limit the innings of. So I moved Burns around where I moved Seiya Savage. I think it's a very similar situation where understand yourself. The temple of the Oracle at Delphi, I think. That's where know thyself came from. Know thyself. It's important. If you are the type of person who habitually freaks out in April and you don't have the patience, do not draft Chase Burns at like any price. Because the worst thing you could do is draft Chase Burns, get frustrated 2 weeks into the season, and drop him because he's going to be awesome on someone else's team. I think you will be very happy that you drafted both Chase Burns and Seiya Savage by May 1st. You just got to get there, and you got to understand about yourself whether you can look at that and say, that's a dead roster spot for a couple weeks. Because I think that's probably going to be the case with Chase Burns.
All right, next up, J.B. Crawford was not in the lineup again on Tuesday due to a nagging shoulder that's been bothering him all spring. And this could open up the shortstop job for Colt Emerson. He homered on Tuesday, and his updated spring numbers, he's 11 for 39. That's a 282 batting average, 2 homers, 1 steal, 854 OPS, 4 walks to 9 strikeouts. Scott, what do you think the chances are here that Colt Emerson is actually up on opening day?
Well, they haven't sent him down yet, and their starting shortstop's injured, and I don't know. It's looking better. It's looking more promising. He just homered, like you said. So I don't know that they necessarily want to have Colt Emerson take the reins yet. I'm not sure they're convinced he's ready. I'm not sure he's shown this spring that he's ready. But I don't know what the alternative is. Leo Rivas, who started some games in the postseason. Maybe they go that route instead.
I think it's probably, if it's a 10-day IL stint at the start of the season, then they probably just go Rivas. But Crawford is... Did I see he's going to visit Dr. Keith Meister?
Yeah, that sounds
Meister.
That's never, you never want to see the surgery Meister on the schedule.
Yeah.
Making incisions. That's what you don't want to see. So I would think, like, if surgery is recommended, and I think the MRI didn't show any damage, but he's going to Keith Meister anyway for a second opinion. If he does have to miss a month plus, then I do think they have to seriously consider Colt Emerson.
I think
they
might anyway. I just don't know if I don't know in what circumstances would I want to invest in Colt Emerson in fantasy. I don't think a standard size league, because I imagine if he's on the roster, it's not very. I mean, we'll see how it goes with Crawford, but I imagine it's not for very long. I question how well he'll perform. And there are so many other rookie targets that unless it's just like end of draft, I'll take a fly or whatever. I wouldn't want to be too invested in Cole Emerson.
I mean, he's going undrafted in most 15-team leagues, I would think. So
I think so.
Yeah. And he's only 20 years old, as you pointed out, Chris. So, Colt Emerson.
Let's see. Has he been?
He
has been taken in 4 of 14 main events, which are 15-team leagues on the NFBC. So,
but it might increase. Is the thing.
I think it should, given this. But it's a reserve round, even in a 15-teamer.
Should be.
Ivan Herrera caught a bullpen session on Tuesday and is expected to return to the Cardinals lineup on Wednesday. I was just reading the expectation is that he's going to catch for 3 innings in that game. So hopefully he comes away from that healthy. That would be good news there on Ivan Herrera. The Rays optioned both Jacob Melton and Carson Williams to AAA. And apparently Jansen Junk and Braxton Garrett are battling things out for the Marlins SP5 job at the moment. A couple Tuesday spring outing things that I wanted to just quickly point out here. Bailey Ober, the velocity remains down, 88.2 miles per hour on his fastball, and it had a 97 mile per hour average EV against on 4 batted balls. So he is one of the late round fallers from 307 to 406 there on Bailey Ober. Everyone's pretty much out on Bailey Ober based on that velocity. What about Sean Manaea? The velocity is down for him too, but he actually threw 4 perfect innings with 4 strikeouts, 88 miles per hour on his fastball as well, which is down 3 miles per hour from where it was last year. He's a faller as well from 286 to 312, but had good results here. What do you guys think about Sean Manaea?
Missing a lot of bats too. I think he had 9 whiffs on just 50-something pitches in this start. So yeah, 52, 9 whiffs on 52. It's hard to know. It's hard to, it's not good. You don't want to see a velocity drop of that much, but also there's not much investment. You're not making much of an investment here. Manaea is like the 300th player off the board over the last week. And, strikeout rate was huge last year, even though he struggled overall. The strikeouts were great 2 years ago. Obviously, when he first dropped the arm angle, he looked like an ace down the stretch there. The thing about a very low arm angle is it's more about the shape of the pitches. They are just the rise there is so extreme that you can get away a lot of times having velocity in the 80s. I mean, plenty of pitchers, usually in short relief roles, have made long careers out of doing just that. So could it work for Manaea? Theoretically, he also seems pretty chill about it. I actually watched the interview with him. He wasn't just kind of baring his teeth and giving the answer. Like he legitimately seemed completely unconcerned about the velocity, and he thinks it'll pick up once he's in a real game and the adrenaline. Like it also looks to me when he's pitching like he's not going full effort. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I still think of him as something of a sleeper. Maybe he's throwing 88 in his first start and gets crushed, and it's like, okay, I'll drop this player I drafted 300th overall. Yeah. Again, it feels like such low risk that I don't mind taking the shot still. But it's not what you want to see. You'd rather the velocity be in the low 90s where it normally is.
And especially coming off the bone chips in his elbow last year, too. Yeah. Like, he didn't get that addressed in the offseason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Looking at the range he's going in over the last week, it's like he's right behind Jose Soriano, Reynaldo Lopez, Connolly Early, and Cade Cavalli.
It's not a great group.
Yeah, none of those seem like obviously better picks. I think if Connolly Early was in the Red Sox rotation, he would be, but
he wouldn't be going that way.
I think if Connolly Early was in the Red Sox rotation, he'd probably be a top 150 pick. Yeah. And the guys behind him, Brady Singer, Clay Holmes, Luis Heel, Reed Detmers, none of those guys are particularly interesting, but Mick Abel and Logan Henderson are right behind him. And it's like, well, I would much rather have Mick Abel based on what he's shown this spring than Sean Manaea. Because it's the elbow for me. That's the concern. That he had the bone chips in the elbow last year and he didn't have it. And I think people are way too confident or way too willing to tell other people to have surgery. And it's like, no, that is like, if it's an elective procedure and you elect not to have the surgery, that is totally reasonable and your choice. Anesthesia is scary. Like I don't want to mess with that stuff if I don't have to. So I get it, but it is also like, yeah, but I probably am going to think you are a less healthy pitcher if you're pitching through bone spurs in your elbow. So there are a couple guys going behind him I'd still rather have. Mick Abel, Bryce Miller, if I'm going to take that flyer on a roster spot I'm not sure has a lot of utility. Jacob Lopez, certainly. Maybe Dustin May. I'm kind of done with Dustin May, but I know there are a lot of people who are still interested in him.
He had a good start
Oviedo,
here on Tuesday. Dustin May did.
It was classic Dustin May, great stuff. I think it was like 3 strikeouts in 4 innings. It's like the strikeout upside just has never really been there for Dustin May.
He's more of a
pitch to contact guy.
Pitch to contact guy. Like the stuff makes you think, and the velocity makes you think, oh, this is going to be a big bat misser.
Yeah.
He's generally run low ERAs in his career. Obviously, that wasn't so true last year.
It was for a while though.
Yeah. I still think there's some appeal there, but beyond even where I'm looking to draft Sean Manaea. I guess I just, rather than highlighting Dustin May as a draft target or even really a sleeper, I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up mattering and everybody was picking him up off the waiver wire 2-3 weeks in.
Dustin,
it's gonna be me.
Velocity remains up in this start that he had here on Tuesday. And yes, having a good spring there. So we'll see what Dustin May can do. 2 other just very deep names I wanted to throw your way. Any interest at all? Anthony Kay with the White Sox continued his strong spring, coming back from Japan. 16 1/3 innings, 5 earned runs, 16 strikeouts to 15 strikeouts to 6 walks. And German Marquez, who is now with the Padres, has an opportunity. He had 9 strikeouts and 13 swinging strikes here on Tuesday. Any very deep league interest in Anthony Kay or German Marquez?
More in Kay than Marquez, but not a lot in either. It's, obviously depends how deep the league is. You get much deeper than 15 teams, you get into AL only, then obviously Anthony Kay's a draft target. But I don't think there's going to be big strikeout upside here. I think it's going to be more, is he an efficient innings eater for the White Sox and a potential streamer in fantasy? Similar, I mean, I don't know that anybody's thinking of Dustin May as an innings eater, but similar in terms of, okay, I'm not looking to draft Anthony Kay, but I'm intrigued enough that I'm going to be watching him closely early in the season to see if he's somebody worth picking up.
He's a SPARP, right? He is RP eligible?
Yes.
I think he's a fine dart throw in a head-to-head points league in your reserve rounds. I can't say in a 12-team roto league I'm drafting Anthony Kay. I will say I'm rooting for German Marquez. It would be really cool because he was really good 6 years ago. Injuries have really taken their toll on him, but at his best, he was a really good pitcher that just could not overcome Coors Field. I think it would be very cool if German Marquez had a good season. Petco's a very good park, so it's possible that works out for him. I'll keep an eye on German Marquez early on as a streamer.
Last note on Anthony Kay. I have not confirmed this, but I trust Nick Pollock with all of my being. He told me
with my life, really.
At least 3 times this weekend that Anthony Kay's first start is against the Marlins and that we should all stream him there. So I'll just throw that one out there for Anthony Kay.
I feel like the Marlins lineup's pretty good. It's not a pushover.
Well, I think they might be like a normal bad lineup. I don't think they're going to be. I would be surprised if they were top half of the league. But yeah, if he slots in 4 or 5 or 6, I guess. I don't know. They're probably not going.
They're going with a 5-man.
They announced their rotation.
They announced their rotation. It's a bad rotation.
But if he's 4th or 5th, then he would get at Miami. That's a great place to start your season. So
good venue to pitch in. So
after that, it would probably be Toronto or Baltimore. That's a little less good. So
right.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get to the ADP risers and fallers, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. 40K by opening day was a little bit too ambitious. So
no.
36K by opening day. It's just
come on. Shoot for the moon. Is that what the motivational posters say? Because even if you miss, you'll land amongst the stars. That's what we're going for here.
40K by opening day.
Also, we are currently 13th on the sports podcast list on Apple.
Someone told me yesterday it was 9th.
Oh no! Well, we've fallen. We need people to step up. It's
It's my
subscribe,
fault.
review. We got to get ahead of the Meat Eater podcast, which is apparently one of the 10 most popular sports podcasts in the world. We're taking down the Meat Eater podcast at least.
Doesn't sound like a sports podcast.
I mean, maybe
does
it might be Kobayashi. Maybe it's that guy and the other guy. What's the other guy? This
Joey
is really
Chestnut.
bad. Yeah, people were really mad that I said I wasn't rooting for the U.S. Now I forgot Joey Chestnut's name. People are gonna. That's an American hero. People are gonna get real mad at me.
I don't know if Chris is lagging for you guys. He is for me, but that might just be a me thing. So
It's a you thing, Frank.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, I guess let's take a break. When we return, hopefully there is no lagging anywhere. We'll be back right after this.
You need a hug?
You need a fist?
Crutch, crutch, crutch. Crutch, crutch.
Crutch, you need anything. I do have one question. We didn't mean right now.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball today. Let's talk ADP risers and fallers. So the first number I will read off, that's from NFBC ADP March 1st through the 9th. The second number will be their ADP March 10th through the 17th. And I'll just ask you guys, in or out, buy or sell? Are you buying or selling at this new increased cost? This one, it's a very small increase, but it's inside the top 50. Mm-hmm. Roman Anthony from 54 to 50. The hype continues to grow. He hit 2 home runs in the WBC, one off of a lefty. Buy or sell this new price on Roman Anthony, picked 50 over the past week.
I mean, I was behind the consensus already. I'm behind you guys by like a full round. So I suppose I have to sell this. Now,
it doesn't feel good, though, Scott.
It doesn't feel good. No, I mean, look, he was the best prospect in baseball when he was called up last year, and you see exactly why. Hits the ball incredibly hard, draws a ton of walks.
Ice in his veins, man. He does not look bothered too. Like he just his approach
come through in the night this time.
His approach is so good, though.
But obviously, hitting a couple home runs over a small sample doesn't eliminate the concern of will he be able to elevate consistently enough to tap into his power fully, which was an issue throughout his minor league career as well. It wasn't just the small sample in the majors. That hasn't been answered for me, even though obviously we see reasons for optimism. It's just not. It's too small of a sample to say for sure, and there's not a lot of stolen base ability to fall back on if he's not a big home run hitter. He needs to be a big home run hitter. He can't just have an 162 game pace of 18 like it was after he reached the majors last year. So I'm out.
It did take him about a month to start hitting for power. I don't think he had like no home runs in his first 35 games or something. And then he started to figured out the xWOBA over his final 100 plate appearances was over 400.
Yeah. It was encouraging. It was a backloaded, still, 162 game base of 18, but it took a late surge to get him even to that. But you're citing 100 plate appearances, which itself is a very small sample. So if he goes on to hit 35 home runs this year, we can look back and say it all started that last month he was in the majors. But for the cost, I'm not willing to say definitively, yes, this is the start of Anthony figuring out how to elevate the ball properly.
I agree. I have him at 52, and you said his ADP is 50, so I will sell at his new price, I guess.
I have him at 54, but I'm right in line. If he slips a little bit past that in drafts that I'm in, then I would be in on drafting Roman Anthony. Zach Neto has fallen from 29 to 37. Mentioned it earlier, but he returned here on Wednesday. He went 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Doesn't seem like a serious injury that he's dealing with, but also had a strained left hand last year, so has some history with that injury. Do you guys buy or sell Zach Neto at 37? He's been slipping a little bit.
So I don't know how to answer this because I had him ranked below 37 all along.
That sounds like a sell to me.
I buy that he's falling, but I sell that he's still a top 40 player. I thought he was one of the most overdrafted to begin with. I feel like he's being drafted at his ceiling. It's going to be for where you're drafting him, harmful in batting average and the run and RBI production, and I don't think is I think it's just people looking at the home runs and stolen bases and saying, hey, 30-30 guy, and they're kind of forgetting everything else that goes along with being a third-round pick. And then this hand issue, which is a continuation of one that he was dealing with at the end of last year. So, okay, he's fine. He's not going on the IL, but what about when he takes that funny swing 3 weeks from now? Like, I just could see this becoming a recurring thing for Neto. That's not even the primary reason. Again, I think he was just being overdrafted in the first place, but it makes me okay. It makes me all the more comfortable passing him up at cost.
Yeah, I think the cost is fine. Again, I have him a couple spots lower, so I guess sell, but if you get him at 40 instead of 37, that's not a huge difference, and I think I'd feel okay about that.
So let me ask you this, because this is a question I've been asking myself, and maybe a lot of people listening have been asking themselves. I feel like the ideal outcome statistically for Zach Neto and Pete Crow Armstrong is very similar. Maybe there's more downside risk with Pete Crow Armstrong. Maybe not, now that Neto's dealing with this health concern. Who would you, straight up, at early in round 3, would you rather take Neto still, or would you rather take PCA?
No, I think I've had PCA ranked ahead of Neto all along, actually.
Okay.
And
yeah,
now it's closer to 10 picks, so it'd pretty clearly be PCA for me.
It's Neto for me. I trust as hard as he hits the ball, at least last year he did, with the increase in barrel rate. And while his plate discipline is not great, it's still better than Pete Crow Armstrong. So I would take Zach Neto there. Let's talk about some of the hype guys. Matt McLain from 173 to 146. And after Tuesday's terrible game, where he went 0 for 3, he is now batting just .512 this spring with 6 homers, 2 steals, and a 1589 OPS. Buy or sell Matt McLain at 146.
All right, so John Anderson, who I think he's an independent fantasy baseball writer, he had a post on X, the Everything app, where he looked at all the players who had a 200 WRC plus last season in spring training. And Matt McLain's at 325. That's not sustainable, but for the purposes of the conversation, let's set the bar at 200. And the top 3, actually, Pete Crow Armstrong, Jeremy Pena, and Hunter Goodman, all had breakout seasons. All right, that's a pretty good sign. Curtis Mead, Ellie De La Cruz, I think he had a breakout season that just the quad ruined. His strikeout rate was down to like 24% before the injury, but he mostly just held steady, so I don't think we count that as a breakout. Ty France, Brandon Drury, I didn't realize he was still around, Alejandro Osuna, Matt Chapman, Jackson Churio, Cody Bellinger, I guess we can count that one. He was significantly better last season. Corbin Carroll, I think that counts as a breakout. Trace Thompson, David Boat, Max Kepler. Brett Beatty, okay, we'll count that one. And Victor Scott. So out of like 20 names...
Basically a coin flip.
A little worse than a coin flip, but like 7 or 8 guys had real breakouts.
It's about what I'd expect.
Yeah, I think the conclusion that you would draw is, spring training probably doesn't tell you that much, but it's not nothing. Mm-hmm. There was a Fangraphs piece from last spring that looked into how much projections can change based on a good spring, and it was like on the high end, it's about 5 points of WRC plus, which that would get Matt McLain to an 82 last season. That wouldn't really change his outlook fundamentally. I want to say I am open to the idea that this spring represents a step forward for Matt McLain. Mm-hmm. But his ADP in main event drafts is like 127, I think. Let me get that number for...
He's going ahead of Ozzy Albies. You're talking about main event specifically.
Yeah, and those are the 15-team, supposed to be the best of the best. And you do see...
It's an $1,800 buy-in. So
you do see some weird stuff in those drafts just because people are playing for a life-changing amount of money, and so they're more willing to take risks. And, you know, a lot of the stuff that we talk about when we talk about these formats. That is ridiculous. Like
even
130th for Matt McLain. I'm fine moving him up. He started the spring before spring training from January 1st to the first day of spring training. His ADP was like 205. If you were telling me you want to take that guy 170th, yeah, that seems like a reasonable move. But 70 picks? That's way too much. I'm sorry.
I agree with the conclusion, even if we say 145, which is where he's been in NFBC overall, that puts him ahead of Ozzy Albies. That's higher. I'm not that confident. I'm not confident enough that he's back to invest that kind of draft capital in it. But I don't want to treat every flashy spring equally. Like, sometimes it's just noise. Sometimes they give you a peek behind the curtain and let you know what's going on. And I like what I saw when I peeked behind the curtain for McLain. I think he's done well to diagnose the problem he was having last year, sliders blown away, and to articulate what he's done differently to address the issue. And, you know, it's a small sample, but it's evidence to back up what he's saying. And so I might be a little more open to it than you, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to pay that price tag either.
I did just want to point out the top 10 in WRC Plus heading into spring training games on Tuesday.
It's a bunch of nobodies for the most part.
Actually, there's some names here. Matt McLain, Wyatt Langford, Mike Yastrzemski, meh. Jake Bowers, Dalton Varsho, Josh Smith, meh. Kristen Pache, Brady House, Teoscar Hernandez, Shea Langoliers. So
and like
kind of a mixed bag.
And to put it into perspective, Shea Langoliers had a 3-homer game like 4 days ago.
Yeah.
My guess is he wasn't having that good of a spring before that. So you also like we're talking about 47 plate appearances, I think, now for Matt McLain. That's not nothing, but you should not fundamentally change how you feel about a player based on 50 plate appearances, unless it's like I don't know what I would need to see. Like a 10-mile-per-hour jump in average exit velocity. Like it's too small of a sample size against so far an average of sub AAA opposition. Like this is the other thing we have to keep in mind. We are seeing some bonkers spring production so far. I don't know if you guys heard, but a lot of the best players in the world have not been playing in spring training games for the last 2 weeks. Like, you know, every pitcher who faces the Yankees this spring doesn't have to face Aaron Judge. That should color how you view things a little bit. If you took Aaron Judge off the Yankees, I think we'd think they were a worse team. So I'm not saying that's everything, but it needs to be a the fancy salt. It needs to be that kind of grain of salt, like the big mouthy ones.
Let's continue on with the hype, guys.
That was a weird way to put it. I'm sorry.
Cam Schlittler is next up, and he has gone from 139 to 122. Perhaps some people cooled off a little bit when he had the mid-back tightness earlier in camp, but he has returned. He has made 2 starts, and he has looked dominant. 6 innings, 1 run, 10 strikeouts to 1 walk. His cutter velocity has been up 2 to 3 miles per hour, and he's racking up a bunch of whiffs with that pitch. So buy or sell Cam Schlittler at 122.
I buy, but I imagine I was buying all along. 106 is where I have Cam Schlittler. I think he's really good. And you're probably right that the back issue was suppressing his stock early on. I think the correction could stand to go even further.
Yep, I have him 120, so I will buy. I could move him up even more than that.
Spencer Strider is on the rise? Question mark from 123 to 109. I don't get it.
So I made a big trade today in the Scott White Dynasty League, as it's informally known. 24-team Dynasty League. Pride of the industry, I dare say.
I don't think it's informal at this point. That's just the Scott White Dynasty League.
Hashtag SWDL.
Doesn't
Scott
really roll off the tongue, you know?
No, it doesn't. But anyway, my big trade was, as a guy who was invested in Strider from the beginning, and of course, lapping up every moment of the success he had, I was done with him. I was done stressing about Strider. And so I managed to work out a deal where I traded both Strider and a very, very cheap Jonathan Aranda, which pained me. Of course, everyone knows how much I like Aranda, and I think the payoff is about to come. traded Strider and Aranda for a more expensive Dylan Cease and Michael Garcia. So
That's Michael Garcia to use.
Michael Garcia. Yes.
It's going to take some time. That and Ronher Suarez, we learned.
Yes. So anyway, I was, you have to understand the context of I was taking on more expensive players, but I wanted to cash out on Strider while I still could because I'm so worried about the bottom falling out. If he had shown anything, given us any reason for optimism with the fastball this spring, it might be a different story. And even with his fastball as it is, I'm open to the idea of him being sort of like Sonny Gray's been the past 2 years. I think that's within the range of outcomes. But there is a much worse scenario that scared me enough that even in that league where I have a greater emotional attachment to him and where I was required to sacrifice Jonathan Aranda, who I also have a great emotional attachment to, I was willing to do it just to avoid the worst case scenario.
Yeah, like I'm looking at my rankings. I've got him 141, so big sell on 109. I just that's even with the inflation of pitching prices, it's ridiculous. But I'm looking at like Cade Horton at 154, and it's like, can I really make a case that Spencer Strider should be drafted ahead of Cade Horton right now?
It was easier a couple days ago.
Well, yeah,
like Cade Horton just had
that bonker start against a Jose Ramirez less Cleveland Guardians team.
10 strikeouts, 21 swinging strikes. And by the way, opposite
the changeup was outrageous in that one. I think he had like 11 whiffs with just the changeup.
Opposite him, Gavin Williams also had 21 swinging strikes. So they both tied for the most swinging strikes in a spring game in the same game. At first, I thought something just went wrong with StatCast, but no, it's actually happened. And you're right, Cade Horton's changeup looked amazing. He threw it a lot more, which he said it was a very lefty-heavy lineup. Lefty-heavy lineup. Maybe he should just do it anyway because it was his best pitch last year. But I'm sure a bunch of smarter people than me will tell me why that's a bad idea. Bottom line is he looked great, and I moved him up in my rankings. And I don't think it would be crazy to take him ahead of Spencer Strider.
I'm doing it. I'm moving Cade Horton ahead of Spencer Strider.
I think that was a long-winded way of saying we're all selling Spencer Strider, right?
Was it too long, Frank? Are you getting worried?
It's just like 109. We don't have to spend any more time on it. I think we have talked about Spencer Strider more than any other player this spring for good reason. But just like, apparently nobody's listening to us because it's ADP's 109 over the last week.
Or maybe the people in the NFBC just like to do the opposite of what we say. Perhaps they've been profitable doing that. Who knows? Let's talk about Tatsuya Imai, who has risen up from 180 to 167 so far this spring. Very small sample for everybody. But for him, 6 shutout innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. In his latest spring start, he touched 99 miles per hour. He averaged 96.7 with his fastball. I recently moved him up to SP 37. I am buying at this increased cost here for Tatsuya Imai.
Yeah, I have him ahead of where I just moved Cade Horton. So all the interesting stuff we said about Cade Horton, I still think Imai is a little more interesting. So I'm in. I'm buying at this price for sure. And I think there's the big thing for me with Tatsuya Imai is he's weird. He throws this.
I thought we were going to
slider.
get through it quick, Chris.
Oh, sorry. He throws the slider the opposite direction. I think he's going to befuddle hitters at least early on because there's just nobody like him right now. So that's it.
I thought you were out of words, and then you wound it up again and started going.
I am never out of words.
Kind of like that time that Scott wanted us to draft a player, and then he was about to start giving us analysis with like 3 seconds left.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like that.
All right, so I think we're buying there on Tatsuya Imai. It sounds like we're buying Cade Horton as well. What about Cags? Jack Caglianone. He is up from 175.
Connor Griffin?
162. Had to be there. 162 for Caglianone over the past week. He has been a big riser. He's been the talk of spring. 120 mile per hour exit velocity on a batted ball this spring. 460-foot home run. He hit a home run off of lefty Ryan Yarbrough in the WBC as well. Are you guys buying Jack Caglianone at 162?
You know what I am? I'm looking at it now. I don't have him that high, but it would be pretty easy for me to move him that high. So I'm going to move him up a little more. I'm surprised he's only risen this much because he hasn't come close to 162 in the drafts I've been doing. He's been going more like in the 140, maybe even 130 range. And that's where it's like, well, I think there's a ton of upside here, but is he really to the point of competing with Jonathan Aranda for me? Or, I guess that's high for Aranda. I have Aranda so much higher. You get the idea. Like Luke Keeschel, I think I have in that range.
Yeah,
some more bankable hitters who have pretty high upside themselves. And it's like, he did just hit 170 last year or whatever it was. Yeah, it's looked great, but small sample. Yeah, there's tons of talent, huge exit velocities, but that was true last year too. And there's definitely a point where it's like the risk starts to exceed the reward, but I don't think it's 160. I think it's more like at 140.
I have a range from 165 to 175 that includes Sal Stewart, Jonathan Aranda, Caglianone, Connor Griffin, Matt McLain, JJ Weatherholt. That is a very fun range.
That's a fun range. That's a fun range.
Hitters.
That's a fun range. You're not going to draft many of those guys at that range, though, unfortunately.
No, probably not.
If you want them, you're going to have to move them up this final week.
That is the difficulty, right? I look at my entire sleepers list and it's like, oh, they're affordable. In a vacuum, it's like great value, great value, great value, great value. You can only draft 2 of them because they're going to go in the span of a couple rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I also just meant like they're all going to be much more expensive than that over the final week. Because we do this every year where we've got ADP and everybody cares about that for weeks. And then the final week, everybody's like, screw it. Just get your guys.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we're seeing with a lot of these players right now. So Cags, 162 in the past week, but you really want him. Might have to go at like 150 to get him. Bubba Chandler up from 172 to 160. It's been an up and down spring. He had 10 walks combined in his first 3 outings. Then in his latest start, 5 innings, 1 run, 8 strikeouts to just 1 walk. He also had 15 swinging strikes on 66 pitches in that start. Are you guys buying or selling Bubba Chandler at 160?
I have Bubba Chandler ranked 120th. So yeah, you could say I'm buying Bubba Chandler.
That sounds like a buy.
I don't know what's going on with his price. That seems way too low.
Did it start even hot? Did it drop some at first with all the walks and then go back up because he had a great start last time?
That sounds right.
That might be
Did
right,
it?
Yeah. Because
I don't know.
He
was on my initial sleepers. I think it was sleepers or breakouts, one of them, because I liked the price initially. So I just think he's been undervalued all along.
Yeah.
I have been a little more hesitant with all the walks this spring, but I still have him 140. So yeah, I'll buy 160 for sure.
Yep, I have Chandler at 134, so I think we're buying across the board. Emmett Sheehan is up from 132 to 120. He's having a so-so spring. I think people are just getting excited about his potential. What he did last season wasn't great in the postseason, but he was great in the regular season down the stretch. And I think it helps that Blake Snell is already hurt, and we don't really know what to expect from Roki Sasaki. He just had another bad start here on Tuesday. I think Sheehan is just kind of locked into that role as, their SP3, SP4. 120. Are you buying?
I don't
Scott,
know.
Are you going to say it? His most recent start?
You say
you guys didn't realize? Okay. He averaged 93.3 miles per hour in his most recent start with his fastball.
Yeah, so
that's 2.5 miles per hour down from where he was last season. And boy, 94 in the first inning, 92.4 by the 4th inning. I'm not saying Emmett Sheehan is hurt. I'm not saying Emmett Sheehan is a bad pick or anything. That's a little alarming.
A little bit. See if it becomes recurring, I would say. Because I noticed, and you texted us this too, Frank. It was a cold day in Florida today. Not that that's when Sheehan started, but a lot of pitchers' velocities were down because it was cold by Florida standards.
He pitches in Arizona.
And he pitches in Arizona anyway, yeah. But the point is just that things can happen in one start that you don't want to overreact to one start. Bottom line. Has to become more of a recurring thing for me to really freak out about it. More with Sheehan, though, I am going the opposite direction on him. Like, I've been lowering him in my rankings because his spring outings have been pretty short. They've been talking up a lot of other pitchers. They've been acting like Emmett Sheehan is just part of that group of pitchers who are going to be cycled. Who they're going to be cycling through.
Yeah.
Even when he was dominating down the stretch last season, it wasn't consistently in a starting role. He didn't start in the postseason. I wish it was different. I feel like it should be different looking at the personnel the Dodgers have and how well Sheehan has pitched when he's gotten a long leash, but I'm not confident they're going to handle him in a way that justifies the price. So I've been passing him over in drafts recently, and finally I've decided I'm moving him down behind names like Tatsuya Imai.
I'm always just a little weirded out when the fantasy community is way more convinced a player is good than their own team is. And that seems to be where we're at with Emmett Sheehan. I'm not even sure the Dodgers don't think he's good. I'm just, for whatever reason, they don't seem to trust him to stay healthy or to be able to consistently give them 90 pitch. Like, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but he was the guy who was taken out of the rotation last year when the playoffs came. He was the guy they were skipping down the stretch when they needed to. Like, it just seems to be a little bit of a disconnect between how we view Emmett Sheehan and how the very smart people who run the Dodgers view him. So I'm higher on, I guess I'm a little lower. His price, you said, is 120.
Yeah.
I think I'm a little lower than that. It's not much, but he's not someone I think I've drafted yet.
Last name of the hype guys, Jacob Misiorowski, from 135 up to 124. He is racking up whiffs this spring. He has 12 strikeouts to 3 walks over 7 1/3 innings. Are you buying the Miz at 124?
No, my concerns remain where they were. And nothing he could do this spring, I think, would eliminate that walk concern for me, that efficiency concern, because, hey, he looked great for 5 starts after being promoted last year. They snuck him onto the all-star team to the chagrin of many. And you know what? The many might have been right, because he was pretty awful after that. The strikeout, the control issues returned. And it's going to take a lot for me to believe he's whipped that issue. And I don't even think anything this spring tells us he has. So I don't understand why people are responding to it this way.
I am going to give you guys a couple seconds to pull up your rankings before I ask this question. So pull up your rankings right now. But how do you rank the hype pitchers at this point? I mean, we talked about them a lot earlier in the offseason and sporadically over the past couple of weeks, but Nolan McLain, Cam Schlittler, Bubba Chandler, Emmett Sheehan, Jacob Misiorowski, Trey Savage. I guess you could throw Chase Burns somewhere in there as well. So that would be
We're not counting Yuri Perez.
No, I think Yuri Perez is just kind of ahead of all those names right now, at least based on ADP. So there's 7 names there. How do you rank it?
I think it's exactly this order: McLain, Schlittler, Chandler, Sheehan, Misiorowski, Savage. And then let me make sure I think I just put Chase Burns and Trey Savage back to back. So I do have Burns just ahead of Savage, just behind Misiorowski. They're all top 150 picks for me. So even Burns and Savage, I'm willing to spend that price because, like we said earlier, I think they'll be awesome May 1st on. But yeah, that's the order I go. McLain, Schlittler. I'm a little lower on McLain than the consensus. Then Schlittler, Chandler, Sheehan, Misiorowski, Savage, Burns.
Scott?
McLain, Schlittler, Burns still third, Savage fourth, Chandler, Misiorowski. So maybe a little less trust in Chandler than Chris, and I don't like Misiorowski much at all. And who else is there?
Sheehan.
Sheehan is, he's the lowest.
You know, Cade Horton. I'm slotting him above Misiorowski in this. There you go.
I'm going to go with McLain, Schlittler, Sheehan, Misiorowski, Bubba Chandler, and then I have Chase Burns and Savage a little bit lower, and then Cade Horton a little bit behind that group as well. Let's quickly run through some of the injured guys and where they're falling to right now. Is this too much of an overreaction? Kyle Teal has dropped from 183 to 269, diagnosed with a grade 2 right hamstring strain on March 11th. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. He could be back mid to late April. 183 to 269.
That's ridiculous. Overreaction.
Yeah.
especially those are 2 catcher leagues. Those are 15 team leagues oftentimes. I mean, those catchers deep, but those 6 or so teams in a 15 team 2 catcher league who don't get one of the good ones, they're getting some really bad ones, and they don't want to just file Kyle Teal away for 3 weeks into the season. That seems silly to me.
It's like, what would you rather have? 5 months of Kyle Teal or 6 months of, I don't know, Carson Kelly or something? Like, you'd rather have Teal.
Yeah.
Right?
And by the way, it's 5 months of Teal and a month
and a
of
replacement.
somebody like,
Edgar
I don't
Caro.
know, Freddie Fermin or something like that.
Yeah. His counterpart, Edgar Caro, is up from 402 to 340. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think that's okay.
Yeah.
I think Caro's moderately interesting.
Yep. What about Ivan Herrera? He's down from 159 to 183, and we know he's been out the past week due to knee inflammation, but again, is going to be back in the lineup on Wednesday, expected to catch 3 innings in that game. What do you think about Herrera down from 159 to 183?
That's too big of a drop.
I haven't moved him down that much.
I think it reflects that maybe drafters were too hopeful he'd get catcher eligibility early enough to be startable there. I hoped he'd get catcher eligibility. I didn't think it would be that early. I was mostly just drafting him because I think the bat's great. And yeah, maybe he'll pick up catcher eligibility at some point. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
The knee issue doesn't seem like it's going to affect his availability, just maybe his potential to catch. But it sounds like he's coming back to catch 3 innings first game, so I don't even think it'll affect that.
And I guess part of the reason he could be falling even further in NFBC is that you need 10 games to gain eligibility. So it's going to take him longer to get catcher over on the NFBC. Jeremy Pena is down from 110 to 131. He has a fracture on the tip of his right ring finger and has been swinging a bat with one hand, also doing some defensive drills. He said opening day remains the goal, but that is not a guarantee. What do you guys think about Jeremy Pena from 110 to 131?
I have him higher. I've had him higher all along than 110. He's inside my top 100. So, I look, a drop of 21 spots in the middle of a draft isn't crazy for a player who's injured. I don't see that as as that much of an overreaction. It's more than I'd react because it sounds like he might miss a week at most. And so I'm basically treating it like he isn't injured and just happy to accept whatever discount they give me.
Chris, do you agree or do you want to go to sleep? What do you think?
I had to swallow a yawn. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's about to be 12:30.
Yeah, it's late. No, Jeremy Pena I have ranked still right inside my top 100. It's 99th. So technically inside the top 100. I'm fine drafting him. I'm a little concerned just like disrupting his spring. Maybe he's going to try to rush back from this. It could go wrong for a guy that doesn't have a super long track record of being worth that pick, but he was really good last year. So I'm willing to take the discount.
A broken bone, it heals, and that's usually the end of it. It's not like, I mean, Kyle Teal, for instance, a strained hamstring. He tries to rush back from that. He strains it again. I think Pena will be fine.
Yeah.
Could get off to a slow start. Could be a nice buy low candidate early on in the season. There is Jeremy Pena. Gabriel Moreno down from 170 to 185, dealing with right elbow inflammation. Looks like he'll be ready for opening day. What do you think about Moreno slipping to 185?
Happy to buy that price.
Yeah, I probably have him higher than that, 166. We all have him in the 165 range. So I guess we're all happy to take him at any kind of discount.
Yep.
And then Brandon Lau from 163 to 176. He was scratched last week with lower body tightness, but he returned to the lineup on Saturday. I haven't seen anything else about it, so I think he's just fine.
These people hate Brandon Lau. Like that's just the long and short of it is just Brandon Lau is just super underrated in these drafts. This dude is coming off a 31 homer season. He was exactly as good on a per game basis the year before. It's not like it came out of nowhere. He had a 39 homer season once. I think Brandon Lau should be going around 130. I will take any kind of discount they want to give me. Brandon Lau over Matt McLain for sure.
Absolutely. I just wrote about the most underrated and overrated players by ADP, and Brandon Lau made the list.
All right, let's Wrap up with some rapid fire here. I'll read off some risers in the 200 to 300 range. I'll give you their name, where they've moved up to. You guys could say yes or no. And quick thought. Jordan Lawler from 287 to 263. Yay or nay?
Yay. He's making the team. Last I saw an MLB.com story, he is all but certain to be, sounds like the starting center fielder for the Diamondbacks, and they're going to use him in the corners as well. Very much a buy.
Josh Lowe from 312 to 290.
I'm sorry, Frank.
Bye. He's back, baby.
He has been, I believe, the worst hitter in baseball against lefties over the past 4 seasons by ex-WOBA.
He doesn't have to hit lefties.
Look, the price is fine, but he's just not someone I'm ever going to be excited about.
Yeah, we all have him ranked quite a bit higher than this for whatever it's worth. But I had the same reaction as you, as I'd rather not.
Yeah.
All right. Kodai Senga from 261 to 239. Yay or nay?
Yay.
Yay to him rising. I don't know that I'm going to rank him quite that high, but he's definitely moved up an entire tier in my starting pitcher rankings. Among those, I'm happy to target late in standard size leagues.
Let's see. I moved Senga up to SP66. Where is that in the overall? 227. Yay.
There you go.
I think I have him at 228.
Chad Patrick from 315 to 294. Yay or nay?
I moved him up. I'm not sure anything this spring. I guess just maybe better assurance that he's going to make the rotation. And it's he's kind of interesting.
His last start was terrible. He got destroyed.
But obviously they've had some injuries in that rotation, and Patrick had a good rookie season. So I imagine he's in and interesting enough to target in that, late round 15 team range.
And I am sure hoping for it because I've got him in Tout Wars. I got him in NL Labor. So let's go. Chad Patrick. Mike Burrows is up from 271 to 251. A name we've talked a lot about. Yay or nay at 250?
Definitely yay. He's a player. I'm frustrated every time I miss out on him. Oh, look, I have him 259, not 251. So maybe that's why I miss out on him too often. But I've gotten him in a couple leagues recently, and I think he's one of the more obvious breakout candidates at starting pitcher with the changes the Astros have been making with him, and everybody seems to know it.
Here's a name we haven't really talked about. Will Warren is up from 312 to 295, and he has looked great this spring. Velocity has been up on all of his breaking pitches, and he's getting solid whiffs as well. Up from 312 to 295. Yay or nay, Will Warren?
I think that's fine. I'm a mild yay, I think. He's having a very good spring. And I just think when Cole and Rodon are healthy, I feel like he might be less likely than Luis Heel or Ryan Weathers to move to the bullpen. I just don't think you're going to get like the big jump in stuff and results from him. I feel like Heel and Weathers, you could see them dominating out of the bullpen. So
I agree with that.
I think there's a little more job security here for Will Warren. I think he's, again, it's mild interest, but it's interest.
Brian Abreu, we know that he will open the season as the Astros closer because Josh Hader will start on the IL. He is up from 217 to 201. Yay or nay?
I have him even higher than that. I have him around 180, so I'm fine with that, yeah.
I'm never going to rank closers as high as they go on an FBC, so look, obviously he deserves to rise, but he's not close to the top 200 for me. Brian Abreu.
Jason Dominguez is up from 316 to 302. He's having a great spring. And Scott, you mentioned this the other day. Trent Grisham is having an awful one. Would you guys be looking to buy Jason Dominguez at around 300?
I still expect him to begin the year in the minors. Yeah. I have him ranked higher than this for what it's worth. But you guys don't. Man, maybe I need to move Dominguez down some.
Lower.
I buried him just because I assumed he's going to break the minors.
It might not be long, though, I guess, is the takeaway from his spring.
Yeah, that's fair. Kevin McGonigal is up from 245 to 232. He's had himself a nice spring, and that does not include a 3-for-3 game that he hit a home run against the Dominican Republic in an exhibition game. We still don't know if he's going to be up on opening day, but kind of looks like he deserves it. He's up to 232. Yay or nay on Kevin McGonigal?
Yay. I think he is going to make the team. I give him better odds than Connor Griffin.
I I think both him and Griffin are right around coin flips, but I think McGonigal is being overshadowed. So I am yay on this one as well.
Cody Ponce up from 275 to 264. Yay or nay?
Yeah, I've been on to Ponce from the get-go. So yay, like what I've seen from him this spring.
Sure, yeah.
And he's a spark for those who play in head-to-head points leagues. Yep. Matthew Boyd up from 224 to 214, having a strong spring NWBC. His velocity and whiffs have been way up this spring.
I think he's just underrated. I don't know, like, it feels like everybody saw him have this awesome season last year, and then he had, 3 bad starts at the end, and they're like, well, that's the real Matthew Boyd, and I don't know, I think he's good.
That was the most innings he threw in a long time.
Yeah, I don't think he's, amazing, but the Cubs defense is going to make him look better than he is, so I think Matthew Boyd's a great pick outside the top 200.
I agree. I've come around to him. I had him and Andrew Abbott back-to-back in my rankings. I was having trouble separating them. But they're now in separate tiers. I'd much rather have Boyd.
All right. Next up, we have Sir Anthony Dominguez is up from 228 to 218.
Bye.
I think this is just people realizing they need a closer. He's the last one left.
He's by a long shot the last one left, and I think he's better than some of those going ahead of him.
Chris Bubich is up from 208 to 197. Yay, yay, yay. Bye. We're all in. Aaron Nola up from 216 to 205. Had himself a nice WBC, 9 innings, 1 run, 8 strikeouts. Dealt with the hamstring all of last year. What do you guys think on Aaron Nola at 205?
I mentioned it earlier. Velo's up. I think a bounce back for Aaron Nola looks more likely now than it did.
Would you rather go Aaron Nola or Matthew Boyd?
Boyd.
Boyd, yeah.
Interesting. Boyd's going 10 picks behind him in ADP. So, that's a little discrepancy there in ADP. Late round fallers. I'll read through a bunch of these names real quick. Stop me if anything sounds interesting or just way off board. Shane Bieber is down from 319 to 391. He's just basically forgotten man. No IL on the NFBC, so I think that factors in here. Bryce Miller down from 279 to 349. He's dealing with an oblique. He turned in a full bullpen of about 30 pitches here on Tuesday, so we'll see how he bounces back.
I think Bryce Miller is a good buy. I think the fact that he's not dealing with an arm injury makes me a lot more likely to buy him as an IL stash for sure.
Joe Musgrove down from 227 to 265. I have to imagine that's going to drop even further.
I think it should be further. Yeah. I have him more like 290.
Okay. Logan Henderson is down from 295 to 333. Could be an interesting buying opportunity. Had some elbow soreness this March, but he has thrown a bullpen, but also has an injury history. Where are you guys at on Logan Henderson?
I don't know.
I'm okay with buying Logan Henderson with a late round pick.
Yeah, the cost is fine.
Yeah, it's worrisome that he had the elbow sprain last year and now he's dealing with elbow soreness again, but I think he's good. And so at this price, why not find out?
I don't know that the Brewers are convinced he's good. Is part of my hesitation with him. He has only 2 pitches really, and one is a not so fast fastball. Mm-hmm. But the results have been good. They just kept avoiding using him all of last year, even though every time they did, he was great. So I don't know.
And was dominant in AAA.
Yeah. Zebby Matthews down from 310 to 333. He had a horrific start on March 9th where he allowed 6 earned runs. And it looks like Mick Abel could take his spot in the rotation. So I think this is people reacting to that on Zebby Matthews. Riley O'Brien is down from 290 to 306. Oliver Marmol said there could be 4 different relievers in the mix for saves. Could start that way, and hopefully they settle on somebody eventually. But I think we all just kind of assumed it would be Riley O'Brien. That might not be the case.
He's still the first one to draft, but I don't know that he's the most talented one in that bullpen. I might give that to Matt Svanson.
Connolly Early is down from 294 to 306. Probably not in the Red Sox rotation to start the year, but Scott, I have to imagine he will be one of your top prospects to stash on opening day.
Yeah, there's a good chance. I haven't formed that list yet. I probably won't form it till the day before opening day. But, yeah, I don't have a lot of faith in Johan Oviedo. And if somebody else gets injured, there's easy path for Early, who looked really good, both in the minors and, it was a late season call-up last year.
And last but not least is Isaac Paredes. He is down from 218 to 229.
What?
I know Scott's buying it.
What?
But if Peña's ready on opening day, I still have a little bit of concern, but
It's okay to have a little bit of concern.
but 229 is pretty late.
I mean, I would draft him about 60 spots ahead of that. Because I think third base is weak. That's where he's eligible. I think he's going to become eligible at a bunch of other positions and be a good source of power at a point in the draft where that's hard to find. And I like him even more in points leagues because the plate discipline is so good.
I mean, you just look at some of the other guys going in the same range at the corner infield spots, and it's like, okay, Caleb Durbin, he's probably going to play every day, but he's pretty boring.
My boy,
Addison Barger, I think, goes 30 spots ahead, and he's probably not playing against lefties. So I would guess Paredes plays more than him.
Over the last week, Addison Barger is going 50 spots ahead.
Yeah.
Like,
So I understated it.
I think with Addison Barger, there's a little bit of people remember. This is my theory anyway. People remember the outrageous quality of contact metrics he was putting up in the summer, and didn't update to the fact that he got real cold in the second half.
Stop doing that. Yeah,
He didn't
really good in the playoffs though.
He doesn't have a long minor league track record. He didn't hit the ball as hard at AAA as he did at the major league level last year. And he's probably not going to play against lefties. I think Barger is relative to Isaac Paredes, but even just focusing on the guys in the range of Isaac Paredes. Caleb Durbin, fine, but I think he's kind of boring. Alec Boehm, I like him as a cheap source of batting average and RBI, but he's boring. Max Muncy, not going to play every day. Jake Berger, I have no idea, but I'm not particularly excited about it. I like Kyle Manzardo, but there are playing time concerns. Like, I don't think any of those guys are significantly better than Isaac Paredes. I think Isaac Paredes
legitimately play less than all of them.
He could, but he could play every day too.
I think
Like, it works both ways.
Muncy and Boehm are both severely underrated as well, but I think Paredes. I think Paredes is better than Boehm in terms of ability and more likely than Muncy to be an everyday player. So he would be my highest ranked of the three of them. And I think people are a little too fearful, especially since they're not consistent. I mean, with Barger, I think the book is out on Barger. He succeeds when he gets fastballs down the middle, slightly in, and pitchers just stop throwing him those pitches in the second half. And you saw not just the production, but the exit velocities themselves crater. So maybe he could adjust back, but we're not reading the same headlines of him doing that this spring that we're reading for Matt McLain.
Yeah.
Being fearful is a good way to put it, Scott, because that's exactly how I feel about Isaac Paredes. I love the player. I was with you guys last year. We all loved Isaac Paredes, but just a little bit concerned about that playing time. But I do love the talent with Isaac Paredes.
If he was playing every day, like guaranteed, there was no question.
Probably like 150.
Yeah, you'd have him 75. I might have him like 90 picks higher.
I might have him ahead of Alex Bregman.
Yeah, so I think he's a 30 homer guy in Houston. So I'm totally fine taking him around 190, 200.
All right, we're going to wrap there for Scott and Chris. I am Frank. Thanks as always for tuning in to Fantasy Baseball today. Please make sure to follow and leave a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify. And we will be back again tomorrow, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. Earlier start for our for another live mock draft. And so we'll see you then. Bye-bye.